Hey everyone, welcome to Screams After Midnight. And I know you all have a horror movie hangover because we just wrapped up October, so we watched a lot of horror movies. We did a lot of horror movie reviews, and it always kills us. Last year we took the week off afterwards. We're not doing that this year. We're taking the week off from watching a movie, but we are here because we did promise a countdown of some variety, and we are going to do our top 50 horror movies of the 1980s. Tim's made his list. I've made my list. He's Tim, by the way. I'm Pierre. And we've both made our own list. We're going to alternate. Tim will give his 50, I'll give my 50, and then so on and so forth. This is going to be in two parts. This is part one. This will be numbers 50 through 26. I think I explained that very succinctly.
Yeah, people know what a list is.
More how we're going to present it, Tim, not what the concept of a list is.
Yeah. Well, I was very excited about this. As you know, I am the list master. So any chance I get.
That not so subtle dig at my Twitter handle. Very nice, Tim. Very nice.
But I mean, we're talking a little bit about this off air, but obviously the 80s, very huge, influential, great year for horror movies. So
it was a great year for horror movies. Yes, I agree.
I think of it as 1 year. But yeah, surprisingly, I mean, I kind of tipped my hat a little bit early, but I had a little bit of trouble coming up with a succinct top 50. Like I think I did a quick maybe 30-ish or so, off the top of my head, was oh, of course I'm gonna add this and this and this. But then I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I kind of had to look some stuff up online and be reminded of certain movies and stuff. And ultimately I think I came up with a pretty good list. But I was just wondering, did you have trouble, or did they just fly off the top of your head? Did you have to look stuff up, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think my bigger trouble wasn't so much looking stuff up, because I'm a complete nerd, if you didn't know that, and I have a nice little database that I can filter. So I went in my movie database, all the movies I've ever seen. It's the best I could backdate it when I started this 10 years ago.
The one you have on the internet?
Not on the internet, no. I have an access document.
Okay, I was making an IMDb joke, but okay.
All right. Oh, okay. I get it. Very good. No, I wish I did own IMDb, because I'd be rich most lately. But yeah, so I could filter 80s and then sort by rating. Filter horror movies, and I'm like, okay, right. So here's the thing, and that's what I do. Anytime I'm making a top list for movies for one of these shows, we've done a bunch with Connor on Influx. I'll do that for whatever the parameters are. I'm like, okay, so here's the things I give a 10, here's the things I give a 9, blah blah. And I think the bigger problem I had with this one is, in every other list that I've ever made for one of these countdowns, is I'll have kind of a cut-off in my head of where, okay, there's a quality line that anything below that line I would never include in a top list. This one was a little bit different though, because, okay, once you narrow it down to horror from a decade, after I did 20 to 30, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to have to go below what I would typically consider what the threshold for being on a top 50 is. Not to say that the movies below that kind of threshold roughly are bad. It's not. It's just that a list like this, specifically a list of horror movies from the 80s, there's a lot of cheese on this, and there's a lot of stuff where they're not necessarily good movies, but it's more about what I like and what I have fun with. I'm not necessarily arguing that some of these ones, especially lower down, are actually genuinely good necessarily, but I like them. And that was a big sort of hurdle to get over my mind, just to okay, how do I compare something that I like, even though it's really bad, but I love watching it, compared to something that's actually pretty good. And ultimately, I always came down the side of, wait, this is about my favourites. This is not about object quality or anything like that. So.
Yeah, same here. The especially higher up on the list, and I mean higher up towards the 40s and 50s and stuff. There are there's just 150, but you know what I mean. There's more cheesy stuff, and more fun stuff. And then there was some ones that I wanted to put on there, but I just maybe I'd only seen it once, and I was like, I don't remember it that well. So I'll see if maybe there's some stuff on your list that I wanted to include, but I was like, I just don't remember it enough to really put on there, but it probably should be on there.
Yeah, I think it was more to that for me, where I'm like, I remember liking that enough to maybe put it up here, but I actually can't remember it enough to tell you what it was about. So maybe I shouldn't mention it.
And And there was a I was looking at some other people's like lists online, just to see like what other people included, and then there's also a couple that people might be surprised aren't on my list, but like just the there's that like sci-fi hurdle that I'd see like a lot of people would put like something like that, and I'm like, I don't know, it's a great movie, but it might be a little too sci-fi. Like I don't think of it as a horror movie, and again, like we can maybe talk about those a little later if they show up on your list or at the end or something.
There's one that I wouldn't typically think of as a horror movie on my list, but my rule was if we had done it on streams, then it was fair game.
Oh sure, yeah.
Right, and that means horror comedies as well are fair game. I think for our list, we had that rule last year when we did our top 100. But yeah, so I think without further ado, did a little bit of preface there, but we can get onto it. So I am going to ask Tim for his number 50.
Okay. So this is definitely going to fit into the cheesy so bad it's good category.
I feel like the first 20 from both of us probably fit into that in some way or another, but yeah, go on.
I forget if the first one was from the 80s as well, so it's kind of hard to choose between them, but I had to go with Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I figured, the first one's a classic, but I figure with the second one, you kind of get basically the first one plus Garbage Day. So it's kind of hard.
See, that's why I would argue against it almost, is because like 70% of it's a flashback to just footage from the first movie. not that I don't see the quality of it's Garbage Day.
Yeah.
Or, that was a bad rendition of it. But you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that scene is so good, and I kind of admire the audacity to just be like, yeah, we're just going to show most of the first movie. Like, it's kind of insane, but I mean, obviously, if people don't know, this is one of your typical Killer Santa movies. Very low budget, but very crazy, over the top, cheesy fun, and the sequel is mostly just like one of the main characters retelling the first one, and then they add a few new stuff in the end. But
basically someone said, okay, we can afford to make about 25 minutes of footage. All right, fine, we'll just use the first movie to fill in the rest of it.
Yeah, if I know the story correctly, I think they wanted to just re-release the first movie in theaters, but like the director was like, no, like let's make a new movie. But yeah, like you said, they only had so much time and money, so that they just filmed like 25 minutes or something.
Glorious.
But hey, we love our Christmas horror movies, and we love our cheesy fun movies, and yeah, it's a fun watch. I say.
So my number 50 is a slasher film, probably no surprise. It is The Burning, which might be surprisingly low for some people, and I think the reason why I have this a little bit lower, even though I enjoy it a lot, is I do think it suffers a little bit from being really concentrated into one really great section, because it builds and it builds. It's not there's a lot of good kills throughout the film. It has the cheesy characters, it has all that. It has George Costanza with hair, which is a sight to behold. But when it does finally kick off, and the garden shears, the big scissors, when that comes into play, the kill sequence that happens where it basically attacks a bunch of people at the same time, it's like, okay, it just went to 11. It's a blast, and it's a solid 80s cheese, but it's very different in structure to most slasher movies, because it holds off for the most part until one big bit where it just goes nuts.
Yeah. And I believe that's Tom Savini special effects in there.
I believe so. I could believe it.
Which he can never go wrong with. I remember not being as hot on the movie. I wouldn't mind rewatching again, but. Yeah, you're definitely more of the slasher guy than I am, but it's I definitely remember the kills being good, and yeah, like you said, those giant garden shears, pretty iconic.
All right then. So what is your 49?
49. So I'm assuming you're not going to have this on your list, because I think I'm a little more hot on it than you, but it's The Howling, which I think the real problem with it, and it's why it's lower on the list, is the big chunk in the middle is just a little too drawn out, kind of boring, but I really like the beginning and the ending. Like once they get to the actual werewolf stuff and like all that creepy serial killer stuff in the beginning, I think is really, really good stuff. And the ending is kind of batshit crazy, which I love. So it's a shame it's not a little more exciting in the middle, but I do think it's a worthy, movie for the list.
I don't know. Howling 2 may have a chance on me. I don't know about Howling 1. In the pale moonlight of the moon. Remember that song that they played 10 times in the movie? Remember that one?
Oh, are you kidding? It's my ringtone.
Christopher Lee with these 80s shades and
Oh, yeah.
the fact that it's a
Of course, I mean, how
vampire
can you forget
script.
a movie like Your Sister is a Werewolf?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Either Your Sister's a Werewolf or Steerba Werewolf Bitch, I believe was the other title.
Yeah.
Cool. My number 49 is a direct-to-video movie,
Ooh.
but surprisingly good. Puppet Master, which is the only one of the franchise in the 80s. Actually,
Oh, okay.
I believe 2 onwards were 90s.
Oh, fair.
But no, Puppet Master is a movie obviously about puppets, and someone's brought them to life. But the setup for the first one, which I think is really neat, is that it's all these people who know each other who are sort of drawn to this hotel, and the plot kind of plays out. It's kind of a bottle movie in that sense. It's funny because Puppet Master, you think being a direct-to-video franchise, it wouldn't be that great, but I've seen the first 3 of them, and I like all 3 of them from what I've saw. Now there's like 10 of them now, so I mean, we'll see. I'll still, when we do eventually do the franchise, which will happen at some point, maybe we'll start that next October. I don't know. Maybe it'll be in a vote again. I can't remember, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll get to it at some point. But no, it's got very, very simple characters. It's got a very simple setup, but it has really fun puppet effects, fun kills. It usually has just the right amount of cheese to kind of buy into what it's doing. But that said, I will say that it's not my favorite of the 3 that I've seen as well, but I still enjoy it a lot. It's good fun.
Yeah, I like the Puppet Master movies. The puppets are very memorable. I wanted to include this on my list. Again, this was just one, though. I haven't seen it since I was like probably, like 14 or 15. And I do remember scenes from it, but kind of similar to you, I've probably seen the first, I don't know, 3, 4, who knows how many. And so I wasn't sure which, like, I was trying to remember stuff, and I was like, I'm not sure if that's from the first one or the second one. So unfortunately, I couldn't put it on my list, but I've kind of been itching to rewatch all these. I think they just put out like a really nice big box set, and I actually saw the new one a little earlier this year, which, yeah, obviously we'll do at some point, but I'll tip my hat a little bit and said I had a lot of fun with it. So I have been itching to get back into this franchise, but
Yes,
unfortunately, it didn't make my list. But...
We'll get to the little strike after the previous 10.
Yeah.
We've got enough franchises to work through right now, though. Goddamn Leprechaun shoehorning its way into our schedule just because of the new one coming out. So what's your 48?
So 48. So this was this might be too low on my list, but this is actually one that we recently did last month, which is just so much goddamn fun. The Pit.
I knew you were going to say The Pit. I knew it.
Again, we're talking about movies that are, our favorites that are fun to watch and stuff. And this, like, how can you not have fun watching this? It's absolutely just insane. Little weird creepy boy talking teddy bears, a pit full of weird troglodyte creatures, and it is just so over the top and crazy. It's it's one of those movies that has to be seen to be believed. It's almost a shame that, like, I don't understand why stuff like Troll 2 gets so much recognition, which obviously great, super fun movie, but I think The Pit is right up there. I feel like that kind of so bad it's good stuff. It's a must watch.
No. You left out the best part, which is all the inventive ways that he gets people to fall into the pit.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's the best part of the movie. And
if you don't want to watch, yeah.
Do you know what I think it is? I think that's what you expect. Someone tells you about the pit and what the plot is, and they say, "Oh, it's really funny how he gets people into the pit." You think, "Okay, that'll be the good part," but a lot of it will be boring. But it isn't, because it's so weird and bizarre the whole time that it's entertaining the whole, all the way through. There's like one 5-minute section towards the end which was a bit dull when it got like normal, but then it. That was it. Everything else was great.
Yeah, it's really our highest recommendation for The Pit.
My number 48, which I know I'm going to get flack for from some people, because some people really hate this, but I'm standing by it. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay, all right.
I love this movie, and it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie, but But Jason looks good. He's walking through Manhattan. Hitting the boombox. They're going through Times Square, punching a guy's head off. It is. This is kind of stupid that I like in a Friday the 13th sequel. And this one gets like, oh, this is the one that killed the franchise at Paramount, and all the rest of it. I'm like, not have fun with it. This is my kind of stupid. I don't know. I'm into it. Yes, it's weird that it takes like place 2/3 on a boat when it's supposed to be about him taking Manhattan. But that Manhattan section when you get there is a lot of fun, and some of the boat stuff's kind of fun too. So. I don't know. I'm into it, and plus his demise in this one's pretty fun as well. He gets melted in a sewer. So,
well, you do you, man. You own it.
Yeah, I will. I'm sure you're going to have some stupid picks later. What's your 47?
That would be a little movie I like to call Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. Talking about that chud.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Chud, it's another movie which, again, the only reason why it's kind of lower on the list is because there are stretches of it that drag on a little bit. But again, it's just one of those things, though. Once they do get to the actual Chuds, I think it's a blast. I like the creature designs. I like, it's kind of a cheesy movie, but they do, like, it was meant to have a message. There's some I believe it's an early John Goodman in there as well, which is always nice to see.
Oh, early John Goodman, circa 1980.
Yeah. And it maybe has one of the best names ever, Chud. It's just I remember going. It's just something that sticks with you.
I have not seen this one, Tim. So.
Oh, we'll have to do it someday. I got really nice Arrow Blu-ray of it.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Give that a watch.
I'm noting down how many years I've not seen. I want to know.
Interesting. Oh, okay. All right.
I'm going to note them down. All right, my number 47 is we're back to slasher. Well, technically Friday the 13th was a slasher, but still. Back to another slasher. This is called The Initiation, and it is a slasher movie about fraternity initiation. And
do we do it on the show?
No, we haven't. No.
Okay, because I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, it's one we'll have to get to. But it's one of these ones where it's just it's a pretty straightforward 80s slasher movie. Kills are okay. What sets it up for me though is I really like the setting because they break into a department store, like a mall, at night for this initiation, and then the slashering starts happening. And it's just a really fun setting. It's a really fun vibe. It's one of those ones where it doesn't do anything particularly surprising. It's just an 80s slasher movie, but sometimes the setting's enough to kind of like, all right, okay, I like what it's doing with this.
Cool.
So now it's another one that Arrow's got a nice Blu-ray out of. I don't have it though. I have to pick it up. But
I haven't seen it, but that sounds good.
No, it's good. It's going to be some of these slashers. I don't have a lot to say beyond. Here's the set, and it's got good kills, or it's got memorable characters, or whatever. But that's The Initiation. What is your number 46?
Well, I was a little quiet earlier because my 46 is Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yes, Tim. Yes.
No, I'm on the same boat.
As Jason.
Yeah. But no, I think this movie gets way too much shit because I think it's a blast. And honestly, I kind of have a theory, which I think the main reason why people rag on it is because of the title. Like it's a goofy title. It's easy to make fun of. And yes, most of the movie doesn't actually take place in Manhattan. So I think, a lot of people rag on it for that, but it's actually like super fun. And, it is more in the cheesy territory of the Jason movies, but I don't know. That's kind of what I like. Like, like you said, the craziness, the boom box, the guy trying to box Jason, like, cutting off the head. Like, there's so much fun stuff in this. And I think it's the next one we got to do, which I'm excited for.
It is, yeah, because we did 7 last time we did one.
Yeah.
I like the title because obviously it's a play on the Muppets Take Manhattan. That was kind of the point. That was the joke. I love that they put a joke in their title. I mean, to me, that's kind of what Friday the 13th is. Not that I'm against having a serious Friday the 13th either, which we're no doubt getting soon because Halloween made a lot of money. But cool. My number 46 is a movie that I don't think Tim liked very much, actually. But this is called Blood Rage.
Yeah, I wasn't again another slasher I wasn't crazy about.
It was
That was a Thanksgiving one, right?
yeah, it was a Thanksgiving slasher, but
Mhm.
it's one of those ones where it's really cheesy. The acting's pretty bad, but what I liked about it is that the plot is about twins. The killer
Mhm.
is a twin, and he framed his brother as a child for a murder. And everyone thinks his brother's a psychotic one, and he's like pretending to be a normal guy. But he's like killing people all throughout the movie. He's killing his friends. He's killing everyone. And the one who they think is psychotic is broken out, trying to come back to Thanksgiving to save everyone. And it is the most convoluted, silly soap opera cheese in a slasher movie. I love it. I love it.
What's so weird is like I don't know if this is just like part of being a horror fan or whatever, or maybe I'm just insane, but like even these movies that I don't remember liking, even like when you mention them, I like part of me is kind of like, oh yeah, I would like to watch that again.
Oh yeah. Sometimes Tim sends me into a blood rage. Tim, what's your 45?
So this is one you like a lot more than me, I think, and so I'm expecting to see it further down on your list, but I'm not crazy about it, but I don't hate it, and I do think it is very.
I'd hope so. It's on your top 50.
I think this is like more to me like very just like man like how can you not include this because it just screams 80s and that is Chopping Mall. It's again I kind of make fun of it for being more sci-fi because it has like it's about killer robots and stuff, but I get the horror element of it. It's most people would consider it a horror movie, but it's a lot of cheesy 80s fun. It takes place inside a mall. You got killer robots, so that there's a lot of fun deaths, and but I think more it's about the the setting and the crazy characters and stuff, and just it's very very 80s. Can't think of any other way to describe it.
Okay. My number 45, which is probably going to be much higher on your list actually, is Friday the 13th Part 6.
Okay.
Jason Lives, which is obviously a fan favorite normally for most people, and I like it a lot. But I don't have it necessarily at the top of my Friday the 13th rankings. I think it's got really fun kills. It's kind of when it got cheesy in a way, like where it started just having fun with the silliness. The fact that it starts with a mock version of the James Bond intro with Jason.
Oh right.
Kind of sets that up for you. But Tommy, the main character, running around trying to stop Jason. It's nice that it's different. But it kind of felt like it was almost a series of vignettes of him Jason killing different people as opposed to like a film that feels together in that way, which is maybe why I don't feel like I love it as much as other people do. But I like it a lot still. Like it's a lot of fun to watch Friday the 13th Part 6. And I still put it above Part 8, so no one can complain at me.
Oh no, it's definitely great. Who knows? It may show up later on my list.
I've got a funny feeling it will. What's your 44, Tim?
44. I'll get my list back up here. I'm assuming it'll probably be on your list as well, but who knows? I don't think we've done it on the show, but that would be Night of the Creeps.
I
don't think we've done it.
We have not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, obviously, won't spoil too much or anything, but I like this movie a lot. I think I just saw it recently for the first time last year, maybe either one or 2 years ago. But it's a fun 80s movie. The characters are good. Good kills. It's kind of like I forget exactly what they are. They're like aliens, kind of like these like little bug alien things that like take people over, or however you want to describe it.
Yeah, it's kind of like high school body snatchers, kind of.
Actually, yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this is Tom Atkins is in this one as well, which
and his mustache. Don't forget his mustache.
Yeah, it's you can never go wrong with a little Tom Atkins.
Oh, I think that made me think of something I might have forgotten to include that I maybe should have.
Uh-oh.
I will give an honourable mention to Maniac Cop because I feel like I blanked on it. And Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell are both at it, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Ooh. Actually, I don't think I have it on my list either. So
yeah,
apologies.
I don't know why I blanked on that one. No, I don't think it'd be super high, admittedly, but certainly down in this range, I feel like it would be applicable.
Oh sure. I mean, there's always one or two. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, so that was your 44. My 44 is a movie called Dolls.
Ooh, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we're back to. I guess this falls into Puppet Master territory.
Yeah.
But this has got a very sort of traditional setup. You've got this a few people, their cars break down in a storm, and there's nowhere nearby except this one house, and the kind old couple let them in to stay. And it's a kind of a wacky mix of characters. It's very 80s. There's the ditzy kind of slutty one. There's the the smarter one. There's it's got a very mix of characters. And there's dolls that come to life and try and kill them, and the old couple are up to no good. So very straightforward, but a lot of fun. This was one. This is if I remember correctly, this is
Full Moon Pictures.
It may be, but I was going to say it's the same director as. Is this Stuart Gordon who did this? I want to say. I think it was Stuart Gordon did this.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I'm going to fact check that while I'm talking about it. Other way, be misspreading information. But
well, I will say this was one I actually thought about, but I don't think it ended up making my list. But it was close. This is a good fun movie though.
Yeah, that's Stuart Gordon. I was right, because I think that's why I wanted to see it, because I'd seen Reanimator by this point, and I wanted to check out some of his other films. And
like a rare non-Lovecraftian movie from Stuart Gordon.
But no, Dolls. What's your 43?
Again, I forget if we did this on the show or not.
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure we've at least talked about it before. So sometimes I confuse stuff we just talk about with stuff we've done. But that would be Death Spa.
No, we didn't do this in the show. We did watch it together though.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Man, this is, oh boy, this is a ton of fun. Again, we're back into the the so cheesy kind of category, but I mean, there's not really much you need to know. It's a like a haunted. I forget if it was haunted or cursed, but it's basically a a kind of gym / spa that things are like coming to life and killing people, and some of the deaths in here are just absolutely ridiculous, but it's ultimately though a lot of fun, and it kind of taps into the I feel like like in the 80s we talk about like stuff like malls and whatever, but there's also kind of like a I feel like a gym craze that was around that time too, so it kind of taps into that, which is a lot of fun and interesting.
Yeah, I never really considered this one. I remember having some fun with it. I also remember being really annoyed and confused at the convoluted backstories to how it became cursed or haunted.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous because I think it's like a witch or something, but it's kind of like, all right, is it a witch that put a curse, or is it just a ghost of a person? Like, it's kind of weird.
I remember us watching it together and being confused at some of the plot details because it was kind of murky as it was going on. But yeah, Death Spa is an interesting one. We'll have to do it in the show at some point.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So my number 40.
Oh, maybe. Sorry. Well, just thinking off the top of my head here, but maybe we'll have to have a Patreon vote if we write down the ones maybe we haven't done for the show.
Oh, sure.
Or that we haven't seen, and then people can vote what they want us to do.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing in general for this list is everything we say in this top 50 that we have not done before becomes a part of the to-do list, because clearly we should be doing them.
Yeah. Sure.
Number 43 for me, I'm staying at the knee height level. Knee height mischief, as Tim puts it, with Critters.
Very good choice.
Spiky gremlin knockoffs from outer space who attack people in a farmhouse. That's basically it. I have nothing else to add except it's like an enjoyable time, and they amuse me greatly. We will be doing the Critters franchise at some point, especially if Sci-Fi get that fifth movie going that they've been talking about doing.
Scream Factory is putting out a very nice Blu-ray collection a little later this month, in fact.
Interesting. If we weren't so packed up with our franchise, I'd say we just do it now because the Blu-ray's coming out. But but
it's tough.
we got Hellraiser, Leprechaun, and we still have Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street to finish off. So we are packed on franchises, but
oh boy,
it's one for the future for sure. Critters. Also, side note: the Critters poster is in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's the movie Raphael goes to see when he gets pissed off and goes to the movies.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
and he complains about it on the way out, because obviously that was a New Line movie, and so was Critters, so that's why they had the access to the poster. Anyway, that was a weird random bit of trivia. What's your 42, Timmy?
My 42. Actually, speaking of franchises, delving into another one, that will be Hellbound Hellraiser 2. We'll have it coming up on the show briefly, but yeah, I think we even kind of mentioned it on the first one how we're both like remember liking it, but it's been a while since we've seen it. So I it'll be interesting to rewatch it, but I do like it though for the most part. Definitely not as good as the first one. Which first one is just a beautiful little self-contained horror movie, but I think this one is fun. There's a lot of really good like gore and special effects. Story is decent, but I mean I think really with this it's like a lot about the visuals. Like there's some scenes that like kind of come into my head that I don't want to give too much away because we're going to do it on the show soon. But I like it. Nice follow up to the first one.
My number 42 is From Beyond, which another Lovecraft inspired Stuart Gordon movie. This is one that has a really weird plot. They kind of tap into another world, another reality, and it infects the scientists with this entity that starts feeding off people. It's a wacky little movie that sort of cuts around, but it's full of personality. It's one that I made a point of looking for after, again, I think Reanimator, and I think maybe even Hellraiser for a reason. I don't remember what the connection with Hellraiser was, but I feel like there was one. But the point being is that I was drawn to it. I never actually got to see it though until the Blu-ray came out, I don't think. But very good. Very good. Interesting little bottle movie. Takes place mostly in a house.
Yeah, and we haven't done it on the show, right?
No. That's one for the future.
I don't think I've actually seen it.
Okay.
It's I definitely like I know the title, and I think there's a few movies like this where I always get confused if I've seen it or not. So I don't know. Maybe I have. I just don't remember it. But yeah, this one's kind of a blank space for me, but I do want to watch it.
Good practical effects as well. If you can probably even tell that from the poster with the whole stretched out face that's on the poster. But what's your 41, Timmy?
41 is Fright Night. It's this is a one, and I think another one where I kind of saw it like a little more recently than most people. Like I didn't grow up with it, but I think I saw it maybe for the first time like 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, it's a fun vampire movie. Again, got like some 80s cheesiness in it. But I don't know. Otherwise, I think it's like it's got a solid story and the characters are fun. It'd be one that it has been a while since I've seen it though, so I'm kind of interested in revisiting it.
I saw this once, probably around the age of like 13, 14. I don't remember liking it that much, to be honest. I didn't hate it, but I don't remember really caring about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, it's like that's why I have it lower on the list because it's not my favorite, but I do remember liking it. But again, if I rewatched it again, maybe it might be a little lower. But I don't know. I think we should probably do it at some point, though.
Yeah, I mean, my number 41 is Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh yeah.
Back to Slasherville. The killer is delightfully boring in that he's just a guy in a denim jacket, but he loves to use a drill. And you have the cheesy, slumber party characters, all the girls who staying over one night, the neighbors who try to help, all the idiot boyfriend characters who get killed, and everything else. It's just kind of a delightful. It's a very fun, quick movie. It's like it's like 65 minutes or something, or 70 minutes, something like that. It's not long.
And I think they get shorter as they go on, which is crazy.
Yeah, the first one maybe 80, then it goes to 75, then it goes to like 70 in the third one. It's like really short. But no, this is just, again, it's kind of a typical 80s slasher, but it's really over the top. It's really kind of like if someone said, "What is the perfect movie to show how stupid and cheesy slasher movies got in the 80s?" This is the one I'd show because it has all of the ingredients baked into it. But yeah. Slumber Party Massacre. It's
also great because you get exactly what you hope for with the title.
This is true. You get Slumber Party and you get Massacre. That's true. What's your number 40, Timmy?
40. Very. It's kind of it's it's kind of like a weird sleazy movie, but Basket Case. It's
Yes, yes.
I think it's a fun. It's kind of like a low budget, and it has like that 1980s New York vibe, which is funny because it's so different from like I feel like even like the 90s and once you get into the 2000s, New York is such like this clean kind of like sitcom friendly place, but like in the 80s horror movies, it's like so grimy and just filled with like punks and gangs and stuff. And I don't know, this is one of those movies that kind of I don't know, just reminds me of that griminess. I don't know, it's kind of gross. Basic plot is this let's say that there's a basket and there's like a little thing that's going around murdering people, and then you kind of find out what it is at the end. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think it's a fun movie.
Yeah, I didn't put this one on my list, and I thought it was an interesting movie when I watched it several years ago. Definitely that and its sequels, which I've not seen, will be something we have to do at some point.
Yeah, I think I've only seen the second one, which gets really crazy, but I dig it though, and it's got good like the first one I think is pretty low budget. I think as they go, they get a little more money, so they get kind of crazier and crazier, like puppets and stuff, in the other sequels, which gets pretty fun.
Interesting. My number 40, one of the biggest in terms of iconography so far, is the original Child's Play.
Okay.
Which is a really solid movie. Which obviously we did all the movies last year on Screams, and I think we both agreed that two is the better film. This one though, I think is still very effective, and it deals, because this is the one that has to actually deal with the fact that they tease out, is the dollar alive or not? Is the kid, is Andy just crazy, that kind of stuff, and the mum has to kind of deal with that. And it kind of slowly builds up to him actually being Chucky that we know and love. So
yeah,
but
and
there you go.
Oh no, just another one though with like a really like grimy, dirty city. I forget if it's supposed to be New York or is it Chicago.
I think it was Chicago in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's just one of those things where it's like you just feel unsafe whenever anyone has to like leave their apartment.
Yeah, he also I love what I do love about that movie. The first one is that the last like 20 minutes almost becomes like a knee-high Terminator movie.
Yeah.
With Chucky just getting destroyed and keeps coming back no matter what. And it's it's kind of great.
Yeah, great animatronics, good special effects. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, the puppet, the animatronics hold up. They hold up. What's your 39, Timmy?
Well, one we just went through the whole series last month, but that would be Bride of Reanimator. And I think a pretty decent sequel. Not as good as the first one, but still some fun. I think the story, it's it's pretty much just kind of following similar beats to the first one, but there is some craziness, and then the end gets really, really crazy, and there's a lot of good special effects. So it's a fun one. I enjoy it.
My number 39 is Vamp, which is a very pink and green movie, and by that I mean everything seems to be lit pink and green, even the sewers for some reason. But because of that, it's kind of delightfully upbeat and kind of peppy, even though it's about dealing with vampires. But it's got some fun characters. It's got some. It's one of these ones where I wouldn't necessarily say you see it for the horror or the gore or anything like that. It's one where you see it for the adventure that the characters go on. And kind of the like, because the lead guy and the lead girl are kind of likable. Then there's the goofball friend who's kind of weird, and because they basically have to. This guy has to essentially pay them and give them his car to like hang out with them, and that kind of sets up the movie. If I have any complaints, is that it maybe kills off a couple of cool characters too soon, so we don't get as much fun with them. But I mean, besides that, it's just it's the blast. It's a very light-hearted movie that by today's standards is probably like PG, but
sure, yeah,
but good fun.
Yeah, no, it's a really good one, and like you talking about their adventure, I like it. All takes place in one night, and this one's a lot of fun.
Yeah, which is 38.
38. Oh my god, this is one I actually just watched like maybe a week ago, and we haven't done it yet. We'll do the whole series soon, but Jesus, Psycho 2 is pretty goddamn good. I was actually surprised when I was going through all the Psycho movies. This is a lot of fun. It's a big departure from the first one, which is obviously a serious classic horror movie. This one though, it's like super cheesy, but I actually thought it was really funny. I was laughing a lot. I don't know if it was intentional necessarily, but man, I think this is great.
No, we will do the whole series at some point. I've never actually seen 4. I've never seen the TV movie 4.
Because yeah, well, I won't say anything because we'll do it, but
yes.
it's a watch.
Yeah.
I guess actually I just got this. There's this one line that like absolutely killed me in the movie, where just basically the overall plot is Norman Bates gets out of the insane asylum or whatever, basically on like a mental insanity plea. So he's trying to like get his life together, and he gets like a job at this diner, and him and some of the coworkers are dealing with this rude customer who like storms out or whatever, and this his friend says to him like, that guy was like such a jerk, you should have killed him. And Norman Bates just very casually goes, oh, I don't kill people anymore. Like, like he's like talking like someone who like gave up coffee or something, like, oh nah, I don't do that anymore. It's fantastic.
So what number was that? That was 38. Oh, my 38, I'm going with some Argento here. This is one we did not too long ago. This is Tenebrae.
Oh, nice.
Or Tenebrae, I think is how you pronounce it. So this is about an author who starts getting sent basically items and like letters about all these murders that are happening around the city. And this one has some good violence in it to a point, but what it really sets this one up, I guess, with Argento in general, but this one especially, is the filmmaking style of how the kills are shot, the music that comes in, the way the camera tracks between kills. There's some really effective. They're almost little short movies actually. Whenever it goes to a kill sequence, there'll be a little short movie essentially of like how this person is tracked and then killed, and each one of them is very hypnotic in how it's performed, and that's kind of why I like it so much. And I mean the actual story's pretty decent too. The end twist is a little bit out there, but that just kind of adds to the wackiness of the whole affair. So
Yeah. No, this is a good one. Yeah, I'm a big Argento fan. This isn't my favorite, but it's definitely one that's worth seeing. The kill scenes are pretty good. You get some really nice giallo shots in it, and it's this is definitely a good one. I don't think I put it on my list, but I definitely see why it'd be on there.
No, I'm glad you approve. What's your 37?
Another real fun one. Again, I don't even know what movies we did anymore, so I should just stop saying it. But
yes,
Night of the Demons.
Oh yes, luckily I remember what we've done, Tim, so that's fine. Night of the Demons is one we've not done, and it's one that again we should do the whole trilogy at some point, because there's 3 of the bloody things.
I think we'll probably have to save it for next October because
they are Halloween themed.
Yeah. It like this one actually takes place on Halloween. I forget what the sequels do.
It can get in line though, because I want to do the Sleepaway Camp series on October 1st, so that's 2020 we're talking about now.
we're out of actual Halloween movies to do. So if we need to do a movie that takes place on Halloween, we can do this one.
Sure.
But again, the characters are absolutely great in this. The very stereotypical, like you have like the jockey. Like the jockey person and then the nerdy person and the like, really over the top like party animal, which is great. And then good special effects and stuff. Another fun movie.
The ending's fun. There's an ending scene with an apple that I won't spoil, but I'll just say it's fun. Yes. They basically get possessed one by one in this haunted house or whatever it is. Yeah, Night of the Demons is pretty good. My number 37 is one you've already mentioned. That is Night of the Creeps.
Oh, okay. Oh, we both have Night of movies.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yes, we have Night of movies. It's not even my last Night of movie.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
A lot of Night of movies in the horror genre. Pretty much everything we said last time. It's fun. It's like teen body snatchers. It's one of those ones where it's more upbeat and kind of adventure. I put it in the same camp as Vamp. It would make a good double feature with Vamp, where it's not one where you're necessarily worried and caring about the characters out there, because you expect it to have a reasonably happy ending for the main character, because it just doesn't feel like the sort of movie that would do something cruel to them. But you have fun things. At one point, they've got like a flamethrower, and they've got like a backpack on, and there's
Oh yeah.
all this stuff happening. It's just a good time. It's a good time.
Mhm.
All right, what's your number? 36.
36. I think it's my first Stephen King entry. So that would be Cujo. I'm a big fan of this movie. Even bigger fan of the book. Actually, reread and rewatched. The book and the movie earlier this year, and I like it. I mean, big, scary, creepy dog traps his family inside a car, and then obviously the dog is like the scary part, but the real like horror of it is just kind of being stuck inside this baking car, that you can't leave. It's it's an interesting premise movie. I don't know why Pete is so flummoxed.
I was looking over to see if I still had the Blu-ray. I do, but it's on my shelf of things that I can get rid of because I don't like it very much.
I like I'm a fan. I mean, part of it probably stems from my love of Stephen King and my love of the book, but I think it's a pretty good watch.
I mean, I like D. Wallace. I like the premise, but I found it kind of, I don't know. Like, I think the dog wasn't big enough and scary enough. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see you trapped inside a car with a rabid Saint Bernard outside.
I'm just saying, just give it a good kick in the face. You're fine.
One of the I don't know about that. I think one of the greatest things is I think recently someone was posting some behind the scenes photos of some of the actors and stuff on set, because they actually had like a guy inside a dog suit, so it just looks really funny to see like a guy standing up like that. And I think they actually like dressed a different type of dog with the Cujo suit as well, so there's some funny behind the scenes stuff you can look up.
Dog actors putting in the hours. My number 36, I'm actually this is I had two Friday the 13th already, but this is me going back to like it's the same franchise again. This is Slumber Party Massacre 2, which when we did this last year, I hadn't seen the sequels. I'd only seen the first one, and the second one is such a weird but wonderful movie where it's kind of dreamlike and it kind of feels like nothing really matters that much, but it doesn't really. It doesn't. But it's fine because the killer's got, it's a drill again, but the drill's on the head of a guitar for some reason. And it's like because I remember when I looked up IMDb before I watched it, it said it's a horror music comedy, and I'm like, what? And after watching it, I'm like, all right, I can see what they mean. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is about this movie, but for some reason it didn't really work for me, which is crazy because I love I got The Pit on my list, for God's sake. Like, I love crazy batshit movies that don't make sense, but for some reason this one just didn't do it for me. There is definitely fun parts there's stuff I could look up right now that would make me laugh, but I don't know, as a whole it didn't really light my fires that
it
much,
was full of really weird like stupid cliches as well, like it's like the girls and the guys are going to spend this weekend together at this house, and the girls arrived the night before, and they have this like weird. They start playing like slumber party games where it involves like them like in slow motion taking their tops off and shit. And I'm like, why is this happening? No one would do this. Just full of kind of that stupid sleazy cheesy 80s stuff like that. That just kind of makes me laugh now. Anyway, what number are we on? You're on 35. That's what you're on.
35. So you mentioned the first one, which I don't think I put on my list just because I think the first one's good, but the sequel I like even better, and that would be Critters 2.
So Tim, I'm going to be honest, I can't remember the sequels that well, otherwise Critters 2 might have appeared here.
Yeah, I think recently I rewatched the first one, and I do think it's fun, but I think it's a little slower, where I think the sequel kind of just really, starts off and gets the ball rolling right away, which pun intended, because I believe the second one is where they introduce the Critters ball. Yes,
the big ball. I think I'd call that the Child's Play effect, where the first one takes time, like sort of like building the mystery of it, and then the second one just runs with the silliness.
Exactly.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to about doing Critters movies at some point is the third one is the original film starring Leonardo DiCaprio, which all the new DVDs and stuff like to put in the cover are the debut role of Leonardo DiCaprio, even though he's not that big a part of the movie. He's just kind of a small character. But and then the fourth one's in space, which is good. But the 3 and 4 were in the 90s though, so they will not be appearing on this list from either of us. I'm fairly certain. Unless Tim's made a mistake.
I just as a curveball, I was like, you know what? They're so good. I don't care about the
Critters curveball. My number 35. Oh, this is a three-peat here for franchise. This is Friday the 13th Part 3, which I have a blast with. I think 3 has some of the most memorable characters. It has the infamous Shelley. He has Jason getting the hockey mask. Has all the fun, ridiculous, over-the-top 3D kills. And I'm not going to lie, when I watch this, I laugh at all the things poking at the screen. The baseball bat, the yo-yo, all those little things really, really crack me up. This is a really upbeat one. I think it's a blast. All the stuff at the end in the farmhouse is really good. I dig it a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's not, obviously not my favorite, but it's higher up there than some of the sequels for sure.
What's your 34?
34. I just forgot. Let me bring up the list. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, one I just watched. Actually watched this on Halloween because I hadn't seen it in a while. Return of the Living Dead 2. Return of the Living Dead movies I think are a lot of fun. I used to get this one and the first one mixed up a lot. My friend always rags on me because he thinks this one is like too PG, which going back and watching it, it is like a little goofier, but I still think there's a lot of really fun stuff. And I think with these movies, the real highlight is just like all the gore and animatronic effects, and just seeing all these body parts, these zombies crawling around that are like missing legs or just like are just a head or half a body. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them. But surprising people, I actually might like the second one more than the first one.
Yeah, the ending. I don't want to give away, but the ending always stuck with me more, and maybe it was on TV a lot as a kid, because I think I always saw it more often, and I kind of thought that for a while I didn't even realize there was a first one, because I thought it was a Zombie 2 kind of situation where they were like,
okay,
it was like a kind of like a proto sequel to Night of the Living Dead, so they just did like Return of the Living Dead and slapped a 2 on it. That's what I thought as a kid. But
I think I just liked the setting of the small suburban town more than the first one. But it's been a while since I've seen them though. I may change my mind when I watch them again, which we'll no doubt do at some point, because again, there's another one to add to the list of things we need to do. What number are we on, Timmy? 34. My 34 is it's kind of a slasher movie, although it's not a traditional slasher, and that is, but I'll say it like the killer in the film says it, Evil, which is New Year's Evil.
New Year's Evil. Yeah.
Yes, if you're not familiar, where a killer phones into like a TV host who's doing one of these countdown shows for rock music until midnight on New Year's, and he kills people every time it hits midnight in a different time zone in the US. Although I want to just bring up an infamous thing that Tim said on the review of this when we did this a couple of years ago. Tim thought he was actually traveling through the US coast to coast and killing people in the different time zones. I had to explain to Timmy that no, he was in the West Coast the entire time where where the rock show was. He was just killing them at the time it was turning midnight in the other coasts.
Hey, anyone could have made that mistake. The movie wasn't clear.
It doesn't need to be clear. It's physically impossible to travel that far that quickly.
Yeah, you know what else is physically impossible? Traveling back in time, or cloning dinosaurs, or I don't know.
This is true, but they're science fiction movies, Timmy. Oh, God. It's actually hard to buy enough that the killer kind of lures victims, because he keeps meeting them at like clubs and things like that. He keeps luring different victims into like places, and he has to do each one like in an hour or less. He has to get to a new place, have a new costume on. It's a whole thing. But it's really fun. A really fun setup. Yeah,
I think I forgot to put this on my list. If I remember, I might have had it you know, it probably would have been further down, but this is actually a pretty good one. And it's always nice to like, you know, for holidays, you know, each one kind of has their own little horror movie, so it's nice that you know, there's one for New Year's. But yeah, this was a fun one.
Yeah. All right. What's your 33?
33, that would be Poltergeist. Obviously, talking about the original, not the 2016 remake.
Well,
or whatever.
given that we're doing top 50 of the 80s, that makes sense to me. Yes.
No, it's a pretty fun movie. It's a yeah, it's I forget. I'm not sure if this is PG, but it's like there's not like a lot like.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a PG.
Yeah.
Movie, yeah.
Because it's I guess you could say it's kind of family friendly, but I think there are still like some like, you know, legitimate scares, and you know, growing up it's creepy, and but you know, there's some cool stuff in it. Definitely memorable scenes, you know, like getting sucked into the TV, you know, the tree branch going through the window, the clown arms, but no, and of course the face getting ripped off, the guy ripping off his own face, which was really, really awesome. But no, yeah, I like it a lot.
You know, I think it's a pretty decent movie. I don't have that much of an attachment to it, though. Like, it's always brought up as one of the classic, you know, movies of the 80s, and I've never felt that close to it, or like it's kind of up there with others.
Yeah, I definitely grew up watching it, so you know, there's some nostalgia attached to it as well.
Yeah.
Another movie too. I just gotta say, because I think maybe last year or the year before, this was another one where for October I kind of went through and watched all the sequels, and it's another one where the sequels get kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've seen 2 and 3. I remember 2 being kind of dull, 3 being kind of bad but more fun. But I mean, again, it's a trilogy. I'm sure we'll do at some point. Although that means we'll have to do the remake as well. Even Sam Rockwell couldn't save that. All right, my number 33 is one you've mentioned already, and that is Psycho 2.
Oh, nice.
Psycho 2, so obviously you said a bunch of stuff, but what I will add on to this, outside of the performance of Anthony Perkins, who does give this really, you know, an interesting portrayal of a guy who's... the premise of this movie isn't like the original Psycho, and it isn't like other slasher movies. The premise of this movie is that there's killings going on, and is it him? Because people are going to think it is. We're thinking it either is or it isn't, and if it isn't him, who is it? But the potential's there that it's him that's doing the killings. And what I think is interesting about this movie is that this movie exists because of the slasher boom. They brought Psycho back because slasher movies were a thing, but it was 20 years since the original. You know, it was a big time jump. You know, it was...
Yeah.
So it's actually believable that they let him out. You know, it's 20 years have passed, that he's had time to heal, and, you know, to maybe believable that he's better. I mean, I'm not sure if it's accurate, but it's more believable than, say, 5 years of being locked away. And yeah, it's just a great performance from Perkins. It's got a really nice build. Some of the kills are good. It's a good mystery, and the ending's pretty solid. So Psycho 2 is pretty good. It's not obviously it's not the masterpiece the original is. It's just not, but it's pretty good. So
I'd probably get shit for this, but the way I kind of put it is like the first one, obviously a better made movie, but I think this one's kind of more fun to watch. Like, you know, the first one, it's good, but it feels like, you know, like you're sitting down and watching a classic. Like, this to me is just like, you know, oh, this is like a fun popcorn movie, but it's, I don't know, I kind of really dug it.
I'm not going to address that. I'll simply say that I enjoy like watching the first one. I'll just leave it at that. What is your 32?
Good question. Let me bring my list up.
Would you just keep the list up, Timmy? Keep it up.
I got my Skype screen up.
Make it smaller. Have it at the side.
I'm no tech wizard. You know that.
Oh god.
So keeping it in sequel territory, which actually, like, for a while I had like a big chunk of just like all like sequels together, and I was like, I kind of got to break this up. But my 32 is Phantasm 2. Again, we did all the Phantasm movies recently, and you know, not as good as the first one, but still a really fun sequel, a little more actiony, but you know, again, you got kind of all the stuff that you like. You got the Tall Man, you got, good special effects, some kind of like dreamy, music, and more Reggie, which is always nice. And so yeah, a lot of fun.
Boy, you got a lot of that. A lot of that. Anyway, yes. So what was that? I was 32. My 32 is Night of the Comet.
Oh, okay. Actually, I've never seen this. I saw this on some other people's list, but I have not seen it. So,
Night of the Comet is a really fun movie that starts off with the post-apocalyptic event, or I suppose it's an apocalyptic event that leads to a post-apocalypse, and everyone's kind of gone. There are kind of like zombie-esque creatures, although it's funny watching this is very light in the sense that there's not actually that much threat for a lot of it. A lot of it is these two sisters, one of whom is the lead girl from Chopping Mall. It's them just kind of like being in their own, I Am Legend style, just kind of like, being in the city, and it's kind of fun, and it's very, very bubbly, I'd say. It's these characters learn how to use guns, learn how to do various things on their own. It's got all that kind of survival stuff that I kind of like. Admittedly, it's a very light film to be called a horror movie. They're actually planning on a remake of this now. That just got announced.
okay.
But yeah, and apparently this was an inspiration to Joss Whedon for creating the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What? There's no comments in that show. All right.
What's your 31, Tim?
A movie that is, I mean, I've never seen Night of the Comet, but I gotta assume this movie is a lot more fun than that. And that would be Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Oh boy. These clowns, they're from outer space.
Oh, you don't say. What a twist. Don't spoil the movie now, Tim. Slow down.
This is like a lot of fun. It's just a great vehicle for, this cheesy over the top 80s movie where these clowns are just killing people in all these different clown ways. You got like acid pies and, putting people in cotton candy cocoons and yeah, just anything you could want in this movie, you basically get it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do this at some point, and it's not on my list. I have seen it, and I think I was expecting too much based on the title when I watched it. I felt underwhelmed when I saw it, but
really,
I'm wondering if I'll feel differently when I watch it again without the expectations going in.
Okay.
But that's what it is. My number 31 is Halloween 2, which of course is set at the hospital. It follows on from the night of the first one, and it's like it pales compared to the first one, obviously. But it's actually a very solid slasher movie. It's still kind of slow. It's still Michael stalking. It's still all these things. It's definitely try to be a copy of the original, but it does a decent job at being fun. It does a decent job of having notable deaths, some fun kills in this one. Michael has a good presence, some good set pieces with the car park and Jamie running away, and obviously the hot tub's a big scene. So no, Halloween 2.
Yeah, I didn't put this on my list. I do like it though, but yeah, I don't know, I guess I don't have much to say about it, but
also the shape walking through a glass door without, I mean, I say walking through a glass door,
that's perfect, yeah.
It's not open, it's a closed glass door. He just walks through the glass as if it's nothing. Is kind of wonderful. So, and
it does so many great stuff in the series that we love that stayed around forever, like establishing that they're brother and sister, and Loomis dying in the end, and that's it's so great.
See, you joke, but I would put this above Halloween 2018, which was the first one to take away the sister thing. So,
sure. Yeah, I'm obviously joking. I just think it's funny that it establishes this stuff that gets like retconned later.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your number? 28? No, sorry, 30. Number 30.
28. Jesus Christ, dude.
Number 30. You're number 30. Damn
it. Yeah. This is a crazy ass movie, something that you should not be a part of, and that is Society. Man, this movie is absolutely crazy. It's got like some really good like kind of suburban paranoia stuff with amazing special effects later. I just kind of love this idea of like these kind of like uptight suburban kind of rich folk that are the bad guys, and just kind of the idea of this like punk kid trying to get away from that. And then, man, like I seen this for the first time recently, and all I knew about it was that, and it was absolutely crazy, and it did not disappoint.
The ending is pretty crazy. A lot of practical effects, very weird. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm saying. My number 30 is this is good fun. This is Terror Vision, which is a movie set set a house where they get a new satellite dish in, and an alien, through broadcasting to the satellite, ends up coming out of their TV and causing murderous chaos. It's one of these really silly movies, really sort of likable, over the top characters, big set pieces, practical effects, all this kind of stuff. Really goofy though, but no, this was great. I have this in Blu-ray. I am proud to own this in Blu-ray.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time maybe last year or earlier this year, and I kind of wasn't that crazy about it. Like, again, it is silly. There was some fun parts, but it didn't do too much for me, to be honest.
What's your 29, Tim?
This is a movie that definitely, I don't know, rocks my engine or whatever you want to say. And that would be first entry from this franchise, actually, on any of our lists. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. I like this one a lot, and obviously I'm a huge fan of the Nightmare franchise as a whole, and a lot of people would say maybe it goes downhill after 3, but I think this is still a really fun sequel. It does a few things that I don't like, but and Freddy's getting maybe a little more cheesier, but I think there's still some really fun kills. I like the Dream Master premise. I think is interesting, and it's still a lot of fun to be had in this one.
Not on my list, but I will say I was more impressed than I remembered when we watched it a few months ago.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it was better than I remembered. It has some fun ideas. It's a shame that 5 completely forgets all of the fun ideas that it had and ignores them. Remember that main character who had all these superpowers in the last one? Yeah, well, now she doesn't have any of those for some reason.
Yeah. I still like 5 to an extent, but it's definitely more on the downward spiral at that point.
I don't know. 5 sucks. I'm just going to say it. 5 sucks.
It's not that bad.
5 sucks. 2 was better.
I don't know about that.
Accept it, Tim. My number 29 is a Christmas horror film. It is Christmas Evil, which is a film about a guy who's obsessed with Christmas to the point where he's got Christmas decorations up in July, and he goes a little bit psychotic and he tries to give presents to kids, but he kills some adults and it goes very bad. What I will say about this is that it sounds like a really silly, goofy movie, and it is in places, but it's actually a surprisingly really well directed movie for a lot of it, and it has a really nice bit of tension here or there with how it handles the main character, who is the killer. And then the big thing, though, is that you will never, ever, ever guess how this ends. The final minute is absolute bonkers, and in a way that's totally unexpected. And I will leave it at that. But I will say, I love showing this movie to people just to see their reaction to the end.
Yeah. It's decent. I don't like it as much as my beloved Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise, but I will definitely give it props for the ending. I will go back and watch those last like 2-3 minutes, any day of the week.
Yes. What are we on? 28.
28, yes. All right. Another. I think another first entry from this franchise. That would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Man, this is another one that's just kind of crazy and off the rails, especially from the first one. But again, a lot of fun. You got some good Leatherface stuff. You got some great, crazy Dennis Hopper stuff. I love there's kind of like some good like opening like car chase scares, and then kind of like the whole last act in in the underground uh whatever hideout or whatever they have, I think is a lot of fun. And yeah, I think this is a really really good entry in the franchise. Some may say maybe the last good one. Well, at least the last couple, at least for a while.
Yeah, wait a minute. I was going to say Texas Chainsaw 3D demands
Surprisingly,
respect here, Timmy. That's not. Forget that.
sure.
No, two's pretty good. Although the ending is kind of weird, and not in a good way. It's just kind of weirdly. It just kind of cuts off bizarrely at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, no, it's got its moments. I can give you that.
Yeah.
Number 28 is a movie that you put far too low.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You put this far too low. You do not give this the respect it deserves, and that is The Pit.
That's fair. That's fair.
The Pit needs to be seen. It's not a good movie, but it needs to be seen. It is a rollicking good ride from start to finish for all of the wrong reasons, and that's what makes it beautiful. We already talked about it, so I will not stress it anymore. But I'll just say The Pit. What's your 27?
Totally fair. 27. I'm assuming it'll show up on your list at somewhere. It wasn't me. What? Oh no, I've had other slashers on my list, but Sleepaway Camp. Holy jeez. This is kind of like my prototypical like go-to camp movie. Like the characters are just so crazy and like one note, and then there's some actually pretty decent fun kills, but then another one, what I feel like we said it a lot, but man, the ending on this is just so crazy, and a lot of people probably know it now, because it's kind of like a thing, I guess. But going into it, when I didn't have any idea what was going to happen, it was kind of like, what? Okay.
Yeah. It's got a hell of an ending. And it's not even so much the idea of the ending; it's more just how they show it and how they executed the ending.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Behave. So my number 27 is The Pit. Not the same one. It's The Prowler.
Oh.
The Prowler, the slasher movie, which is actually really solid. It's one that I'd forgotten about. It's another Savini FX one, I think. And it's because I remember not liking this as much, but then when I watched it again, I was like, oh wait, the kills in this are really good. Why did I remember not liking this that much? It's got really cool kills, really kind of violent and visceral kills with the killer's got sort of a soldier's theme. He's got like a bayonet kind of thing, and he's stabbing people with things. A lot of blades through heads, all that kind of stuff. The entire final chase with the final girl and the killer in a house that's kind of all covered in dust sheets is pretty fun. That's a really solid 80s slasher movie. It's probably one of the better ones in terms of just being good for kills and murder, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. The kills are pretty good. I wasn't crazy about the killer though. I guess I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm not as huge on slashers, but yeah, if I don't really like the look of the killer and stuff, that kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes a long way for me.
That's fine. There's a reason why it's at 27 and not at 7, Tim. So just
just saying.
Accept that. What's your 26? Your final of this episode, actually.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Very interesting horror movie. Just kind of, yeah, just like you're following this killer around. I mean, like it says, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's like, it's one of the more effective movies of really getting into like kind of the headspace of like how this person lives.
I think what's interesting about this compared to the rest of the list, not just yours, but both our lists so far, is that most of the things we have said are fun. They're fun, or they're goofy, or they're lighthearted, or they're like, oh yeah, kill that person, blah, yeah, go, blood, gore, yeah. This is disturbing. This is a disturbing psychic evaluation of a serial killer. But it's effective, and you've got Mary Poppins himself doing a really good performance.
Mary Poppins?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, okay. Michael Rooker, of course.
Yes, yes.
Wait, what?
Yes, that's Mary Poppins, yes.
I forgot about that like 24-hour meme.
I wasn't making a joke about the meme. It's just there was a funny line in the movie.
No, I agree. It is funny, but there was like a day though when that's all anyone
I
could
know,
talk
I
about.
know. I feel like enough time has passed now. I can say it without it being like, oh, you did the meme. It's like, no, I'm referencing a movie. Damn it.
Well, hopefully we'll see more funny stuff from Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Weightless Drax. I think Batista's ready to walk. But oh dear. Yes, Harry Potter Serial Killer is very good. Yes. Did you want to say anything else, Tim, before I said my 26?
It was a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the fans.
Shut up. My number 26, the final of the episode, is actually the original Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, okay.
Which I again, it's not necessarily a good movie, but it's glorious. I mean, the idea of a guy who has this because he witnessed Santa killing his parents, has this trauma, and then one day when he's about 18, he finally snaps, puts on, because he's forced to wear a Santa suit for work, and then he snaps and starts killing people. And my favorite thing about it is, as he goes around killing people, is he yells out "punish" as he does so. It's glorious.
Like, what's great about this is that there's like, like at least 3 or 4 Santa related traumas that this guy has, and it's like either one could have like been the what sets him off to become like a Santa serial killer, but it's like they just gave him all in one, like everything. Like it starts off with his grandpa like giving him like a weird story about Santa, and then like a Santa steals their car and like rapes his mom, and then he's also forced to like dress up as Santa, and it's like, man, just like pick one thing.
I know, it's everything. A Santa trauma from another movie just popped out in my head. I don't know if that was Christmas Evil though. I don't think it was. It may have been Silent Night, Bloody Night, but I don't know. One popped out in my head. Anyway, that's the first half of our top 50s. We'll be back next time with numbers 25 through number 1, but by all means let us know what you thought of this list so far. If you want to keep your list, if you're making one yourself, which we do love to see in the comments.
Oh yeah.
I know some people wait until the full list is out before you put them. That's cool if you want to do that, but we do like seeing your own picks. So a weird wacky mix of movies in this first half, but let us know what your thoughts on the picks are, and like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at Streams Midnight for your Streams After Midnight updates and needs and questions and whatnot. You can of course go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month, and you get to vote in movies at one of the tiers. You get to do all sorts of things. You get some stuff early. It's worth doing just to feel warm and fuzzy in the inside, mildly fuzzy, you might say. So no. But that is it. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.